everybody, how's it going? Another glorious day in the power saw shop. We're working on Buckin's 266. Look at this. I'll turn the old light ski on. Look how nice those cleaned up. Okay, we've dressed all the mating surfaces. It was black inside of there. Not a good deal. I made a little mistake. I always like to be, give the right info. The carrier side, okay, this is behind the flywheel. Those are the ones you want to seal. Those go through into the case. The oil pump side doesn't go through. Anyhow, so that's what I'm up to right now. I'm getting ready to do this bottom end. I'll probably film some of it, whatever I can get in. So right now what I'm doing is I'm prepping the cases and I'm going over them. These cases are in nice shape. They have some pitting in places and some wear on them, but all the mating surfaces look good. So we're gonna make a rip-roaring power saw out of this thing, and that's the plan. A couple of you guys were asking me, and I love the comments. It lets me know what you guys are thinking. You guys were asking me why I don't use a piston stop when I'm, say, taking the clutch off. Well, I have a piston stop around here somewhere, and amongst all this junk. I've had a few bad experiences with piston stops in this kind of application. Either those clutches come off like right now, or they're stuck. A lot of times they're stuck on these old saws. You guys got to remember, this saw's like 30 plus years old. 87 roughly. We're going to say this thing's mid to late 80s. This saw is 30 plus years old, and it's been around. When you screw a piston stop in against the piston and you're hammering on that clutch, you can deform the crown of the piston. That's not really my style. You can create a stress fracture on the crown of that piston, and that piston could literally grenade. Now, we're throwing that piston in the garbage out of the saw, but I don't use piston stops in that application. A piece of rope will always work. It'll never damage anything. If you put it through and the exhaust port's open, you might cut it off, but I mean, that doesn't damage anything. You might have to pull the top end off and make sure there's no bits and pieces in there, but a lot of these old saws I work on, you can't get parts for them. You got to be so careful. This you can get parts for, but I'm just in the habit of taking my time, being super diligent, and so that's why I don't use a piston stop. If you have one and you want to use it, by all means. This is just what I do, and I don't know everything, and I just do stuff the way I do it. Okay, so we got these cases more or less prepped. We're happy with them. I want to bring you guys into the bench. I want to show you guys a couple of problems, but opportunities in this build. I want to show you guys what I'm doing. This is more advanced stuff. If you're just starting out, you probably you don't want to go down this road. To get those first 15-20% gains takes 20% of the effort. To take these saws to that high level takes another 5 times the effort a lot of times. For your average cutter, you don't need to do all this funky stuff. A guy like Buckin, who's been running 266s and ported ones, he's at that stage where he wants, top level performance. Those 266s that Harvey builds are super strong. I can hear it. So we're aiming to go to the next level. So we're going to do all this weird, funky stuff on this saw as an experiment. I've never done this combination of parts, so I'm super excited. I'm going to bring you guys into the bench. I want to show you the problems we have with this combo and what I'm going to do about it. So just give me a second here. I'm going to grab some parts and line them up so that you guys can see. Before we get to the bench, check this out. How cool are these? These are original oil cans, motor oil, full. My mother-in-law picked these up for me. Aren't these cool? I thought they were pretty sweet. I got one more in the house. Yeah, I love stuff like this. A couple of old ratty home light bars. We got to make this place more, you know, neater with more cool stuff. I like old-timey things, and what's better than old-timey oil cans? Anyhow, I just wanted to show you guys this. There's that little Pro Max 6. And I don't know what the deal with this saw is. We'll run through it one day on the channel. I showed you guys these in another video. The 590, you guys are asking, we're waiting for parts. I went over this saw. I'm going to run it bone stock. Next time we go cutting, I'll throw a bar on this. I went through the saw and kind of looked at the specs, and I decided we need to buy some go fast parts for it. So the parts are in the mail, and we'll dig into that 590 Echo as soon as we get the parts. I don't want anything holding that saw back, and I started doing a little research, and that thing has a semi-fixed high jet, and I can't remember what, and a limited ignition, so we're going to change that. That way there's nothing holding the saw back but me. Anyhow, let's get to the bench. Okay, so I showed you guys in the last video, this is the stock piston. This is that Go Fast CCC piston. Okay, notice, so in the stock application, the air goes through the bottom end and through these cutaways in the piston. Let's grab the cutaway. Sorry, the windows in the piston. Here. Again, you can tell these are the same era, okay? 266. This is an 028 Super Still. Okay? Here's your transfer. So the air goes through the intake into the bottom end. Right? Through the intake into the bottom end, it gets compressed, and then it flows up through the transfers. Right? Here, we'll turn the light on here. Okay? Those transfers are fed directly through these windows. Okay? Notice, again, most saws are very similar from similar eras. Okay? Husqvarna, still. That's why, guys, I'm not really brand loyal, because I've been in and out of enough of these saws. A lot of them are the same. There's not much difference out of the box. And most of them can be made to go fast with the same kind of moves. Okay, so again, how do you feed transfers with no windows? And like, this thing's light. We got to use this in the saw. Okay, here's your intake side, exhaust side. Okay, without the windows, without the windows in the piston, we're not going to feed these transfers really at all, ever. We are going to feed them, but not at the level that this is going to feed them. So what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to basically make this an open transfer. I'm going to take, let me grab a marker. One of you guys sent me a new box of markers the other day. I have them here somewhere, but okay. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to cut the bottoms of this off. I'm going to feed this transfer right from the case. Okay? You guys see what's going on here? Oh, sorry guys. I'll zoom you in. Okay, I'm going to feed this right from the case. So what I want to do is, I want to cut the bottoms off, and I want this to go shunk right into here. Okay? We're going to move a lot of air that way. And again, if I take this piston, I could figure out, okay, we're going to, oh, sorry guys, we're going to feed it through that little channel stock, right? I want more space, okay? I want to move air. I want more air in here. I'm just going to zoom you guys back out here. I want more volume in the bottom here, okay? And I want to taper it in, and the smallest point is the exit, just like a garden hose, okay? And remember, and I've said this before, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I move air for a living, so getting the air going is what I'm interested in porting saws. How I go about it, well, I change that often. Okay, so we are literally going to cut the bottom of this cylinder right off. Okay, on both sides. Here, I'll just draw on the outside. Okay, we're going to cut it here and here. Okay, I might actually do that before I put this bottom end together, but I think for all intensive purposes, we know what we need to cut. We're basically going straight down. If we go any wider, the piston is going to block it. So we're going to put this back in there. Okay, if you hold that straight, and I do a mark here and a mark here. Sorry, I had a marker in my mouth. Let's see if it lines up with the transfers. And you guys look, it pretty much does. So we'll just draw a couple of fault marker lines and we will cut that right off. I'm probably just going to take a cutoff wheel, cut a little higher than the flange, zing zing, pull that piece off, and then we'll do some Dremel work. And we'll try and get all that on film, and we will literally make this more or less an open transfer. It is still a closed transfer, but okay, so problems, but huge potential for performance there. Now, in a regular build, guys, you don't have to go to all that work, but we are going for maximum power here. This is going to bring you guys back out. Okay, so we are going for maximum power. Now, remember, and I can't stress this enough, if you guys are going to attempt stuff like this, you have to know your limits. You got to know how much that this saw can take. If you start putting too much power through this bottom end, you can beat up these bearing pockets. You can blow up bearings. Standard bearings, the ones I use, I think they're rated at about, I can't remember, I might be a little bit off. I'm going to check right now, hold on. Okay, I think I didn't find the spec. I think the bearings I use are rated, they can continuously run at about 16,000 RPM, give or take. So, you want to go with a good C3 grade bearing. You don't want the speed of your saw to exceed the speed of your bearing. So that's number one. If this saw is cutting at 12K, which it potentially could, you don't want a 13K bearing that's going to blow apart, right? You want to leave yourself room, a cushion, if you will. Okay? So these bearings I'm putting in, they can run excess. I was reading the specs on them. It said 30,000 RPM. They will take a ton of load without letting go. So it's very important if you're just starting out. You know, my How to Port a Chainsaw series, you guys can do whatever you want, but that's where you should start because your chances of success are way up high. You shouldn't blow your saw up or have any problems. And I mean, if you only have one or two saws and you're porting it, you want that saw to run good when you're done. Blowing up your first saw could really be a setback for some of you guys. So this kind of stuff, it's for fun and entertainment, but I want you guys to know what you're getting into if you so choose. So so again, we know we're putting heavy bearings in this saw. We are limited to size, but these ceramic hybrid bearings are super high spec. They will spin smoother, freer, and just take more load. So that's the deal there. And then again, we're going to move more air through this saw. We're going to have a lighter weight piston, and we are going to mount up a giant carburetor to it. No point in putting a giant carburetor on a saw that can't handle it. It's like putting an 850 double pumper on your stock 305 Chevy. It's just going to be dumping fuel, you know, through it. So that's what we're doing here. We are going to aim to pipe this saw, and it's going to be a good saw, I hope. I've built many a 266, and they're fun. They're a great saw to build, and they're a great saw to run. They got a good sound, just everything about them I like. So this is what we're doing today. I'm just cleaning parts and getting stuff ready. I'm going to use the oil pump as a bearing stop, and just little things like that. Another thing I want to note to you guys, sorry I bumped you here, there is an O-ring. There's an O-ring on the back of one of these little spots here. Right here, guys, on the case. Right here. You see that? Okay, when you take these apart, be aware there's a little O-ring, and often they'll stick to the case. If you put your saw back together and it's not oiling, I bet you if it's leaking behind there, that O-ring is probably not in there. So, okay, so that's what we're doing today. I wanted to show you guys the path of the airflow, and you guys can kind of follow along with what I'm doing here. Again, I've never done this combination of parts, so this will be interesting. I want to get this bottom end built because, again, now once the bottom end's built, we can check our cylinder timing. We can put that piston in, make sure everything fits. We can mock up the carburetor with the intake. We're gonna have to manually put an impulse line in here. So that's gonna be another thing. I'm gonna have to drill a hole. I'm probably gonna feed it somewhere from here, and then we can impulse the carburetor from the transfer. I've seen that on Harvey's channel, so I know it works. So I'm not doing anything here that I don't know will work, but that's what we're doing today, folks. I'm pretty excited about this because I really like building these saws. These are some of my favorites. I know them pretty well, and I like them. So there you guys go. Just a quick video on what we're doing here. A bunch of you were asking, how are you going to feed the transfers with a zero window piston? Well, that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to feed them sooner and for longer. It doesn't matter how much you're feeding the bottom, it's when the top opens, right? So I want to feed those bottom transfers as much fuel and air as I can, and then when that transfer opens, I want all kinds of fuel and air behind that charge as the piston's going down. So there you guys go. I'm pretty excited, and I'm going to get going on this bottom end, and like I said, I'll try and shoot as much of it as I can so you guys see it. There are bottom end builds. If you go back, there are 200 series bottom end builds. If you look in my 200 series playlist, we've done 2 or 3 of these on the channel. I think 3 now. So anyhow, as always, thanks for watching, and thanks for being here. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Take her easy. I'll see you guys in a couple days.